This is Camnet Television Main News. My name is Jeffrey Siambo. Our top stories. LUSAKA man to spend 3 years in jail for causing wife's death. IKELENGI Town Council cautioned for failing to deliver despite banking 21 million kwacha CDF funds. Government justifies ZCCM investment holdings and First Quantum Minerals agreement. In international news, Ghana to scrap local debt in fight to regain economic stability. And in sports news, Morocco and Spain fight for a slot in the World Cup quarterfinal.
In our quest to serve nations and develop Africa, Savenda is investing in the agriculture sector so as to produce supply for both local and international markets, housing over 12,000 pullets that are nurtured and fed with our locally made stock feed that comes from our own locally grown maize and soya beans, all processed from our recently installed milling and mixing plant. Our over 95,000 layers have an output capacity of over 1,500 trays of fresh eggs per day that are carefully selected and packaged for all the leading stores and supermarkets nationwide. Our greenhouses are fitted with the latest irrigation system, and the seedlings are nurtured to ensure only healthy plants reach the fields. With our deliberate planting schedule, we are better placed to supply constantly without interruption, thus reliable. Savenda Farms is also changing lives of its dedicated workforce drawn from the local community and beyond. So the next time you think fresh and green, think Savenda Farms.
A falcon, known for flying high speeds, unmistakably grace and flying incredible long distances. Falcon Express is equal to the task with your deliveries. Friendly and reliable, a company that cares for you, local and international coverage, a company that empowers its customers on time, every time, all the time. Nationwide delivery.
Send your parcel through Falcon Express to Mongu, Kabwe, Ndola, Kapiri, Kitwe, Chingola, Chipata, Livingstone, Mazabuka, Kasama, Solwezi, Kalumbila, Chililabombwe, Luansha, Kalulushi. Get in touch with us on +260 971 130 766 and drop your parcels at Falcon Express. Falcon Express. Your parcels are safe with us.
Hello and welcome to the news once again. The news in detail. United Party for National Development, UPND Challenge Ward 8 Councillor Ruben Mwenya says his team, together with the help of the LUSAKA City Council, are working on a pre-rainy season project of unblocking drainages in the wards. Speaking shortly after inspecting drainages at Challenge Market, Mr. Mwenya observed that the drainage system is blocked and needs expansion because of being too small to contain water when it rains heavily. Meanwhile, Kabata Ward Development Committee Chairperson Chilekwa Munkonge says the committee is monitoring some roads apart from the drainages, which are impassable during the rainy season. More in this report.
The country's capital Lusaka experienced seasonal rains that create massive flooding. These phenomena, combined with a high water table and poor trash collection and sanitation, lead to the spread of waterborne diseases. Lack of drainage, or rather poor drainage system, contributes. Traders at Challenge Market have noted the need to urgently address the blockage experienced on the drainage system in the market.
Experiencing about this drainage, it's because of the slope. So sometimes we clean, but we find that there where it protrudes in the many drainage, they don't clean, especially Pama Expiry. They put a lot of bottles. So we find that even if we clean, but there it's blocked. So as he has said, we clean so that we see the slope, then we clean also from there.
The problem that we have been facing as marketeers for Challenge is the drainage. Despite all the effort that we've had in cleaning the drainage, but it has not been taking the water out of the market. So as a result, there is a lot of, if you go around to where they are selling chickens, it is smelling, you can't beyond measure. So we would love LUSAKA City Council through CDF to help us with the cleaning up of the drainage and making it well, so that
After touring the market, it was discovered that the drain was engulfed with heaps of rubbish, blocking the free flow of waters.
We are on tour with the committee to assess some roads which are impassable during dry season and see how we can prevent the disasters before they occur. And we have seen that some of the roads have no drainages, and some they have drainages, but the drainages are blocked because of careless of us human beings of throwing litters in the drainages. However, after the assessment, I'll be in the field for 4 days with my committee and the people from LUSAKA engineering department and the other departments, and all stakeholders concerning the CDF funds, so that we can ensure that the monies which is meant for disasters we can channel it to maybe to make drainages.
It is against this background that civic leaders in Lusaka's Chilenje and Kawata constituency are working together with the city authority, Lusaka City Council, to ensure that certain roads which become impassable when it rains heavily are worked on, as well as the drainage system.
Sometime now, I think we've experienced the stagnation of the water around the market, because the drain that we have was not well designed. It doesn't have a slope. So the people that did the market when they were making this market, they didn't slope it. So apparently, through engineering department at Lusaka City Council, we're trying to see how our engineers can come on board and try and create a slope. The slope that will discharge into the many Muramba drainage.
Miriam Kaimba reporting for Camnet TV News.
The IKELENGI Town Council has been castigated for failing to deliver development to the people despite government giving the local authority over 23,740 kwacha out of the 27.5 million kwacha being the total allocation for the 2022 constituency development funds. IKELENGI constituency member of parliament Elijah Mchima has since expressed disappointment with the council's inefficiency and lack of zeal to deliver development. The visibly annoyed MP, who was part of the Constituency Development Fund Committee CDFC meeting held in the council chamber, wondered how the council is failing to spend funds which are readily available in the council bank account on developmental projects. Mr. Mchima told the council that government is doing its part by releasing huge sums of money for development to all parts of the country, but some technocrats are frustrating its efforts with impunity. But in their defense, the council, through its deputy treasurer, Situla Inteme Chonga, said the council's perceived failure to utilize the funds was because it still has running projects as far as 2019.
To me, you'll be fired. You have to improve. You'll be gone. I would rather all of you are gone and remain with one person. Before this, councillors, they used to go on a committee to go and buy materials, and we were very effective. All these roads you are using there, the money we are using very little. We were very effective. Your MP here, for the 4th day, does not get any. I will never come to Solis and give me something for my check for this from CDF. I've never done that. It's embarrassing. If you are educated, I'm equally educated. Who can cheat me here? That one was teaching my masters at university. Who can tell me? I'm a lawyer. You cannot say you are more educated, even if you are educated. If I cannot say you are educated, my mother is not uneducated, then I say, get out. You are not educated. No, I'm uneducated on behalf of my mother. You are here on behalf of the public and Zambia. If people still got mentality of PF, no, PF is gone. If you are brought here in terms of cannibalism, I'm not entertaining that. Nobody, you are civil servant, public servants, deliver. You should even accord more respect, due care when I'm not there, than when I'm here. I monitor. It pains me. You take advantage because it's far. I'll talk to the president to allow me whatever time you have a council, the CDF meeting. And this 21 million, we have to spend it. We have to approve the projects. And the tractor, I'm not saying it. I want you to follow the procedure.
Former employees of Mushe Milling in Lusaka Tuesday stormed the ZCCM Investment Holdings offices demanding for their 5 months unpaid salary arrears. Henry Kalolo tells Camnet News that since the company was liquidated by ZCCM Investment Holdings, all the over 80 employees have lost their jobs and that they are owed thousands of kwacha in unpaid arrears. Mr. Kalolo adds that most of the former workers are suffering as they have been chased out of their rented houses due to non-payments, and that others have been forced to send their families to live with their relatives as they have no sources of income now. Meanwhile, ZCCM Investment Holdings Corporate Affairs Manager Lois Ambata, when contacted, says her organization takes pride in the welfare of employees and that it is working to address the issue. More in this report.
As part of ZCCM Investment Holdings' strategic intent to participate in agriculture and agro-processing, the company went on to acquire 100% shareholdings in Mushe Milling in 2019 and all seemed well. However, the strategic intent has been short-lived as some former Mushe Milling employees claim the milling company has been liquidated and over 80 employees have lost their employment. These are some of the former Mushe Milling employees who Tuesday stormed ZCCM-IH offices demanding that they be paid their 5-month salary arrears, adding that they have been chased from their homes due to non-payment of rent, while others have had to send their families to live with their relatives.
So inapopezeka kuti company waichita liquidate and ma salaries so anatipasi manyumba ya renti vatichosa manyumba ya renti tipezeka wana so hapa wagona panja wana makatundu nionana kunana so na mvula makatundu sisi wana koenda kozi pano pamene mutiona muone wonse pano palibe oina palibe olounga kulibe kumanyumba wakazi vanataba venango apatigona panja so chabe so wakazi venango wanaenda kuwa family so chabe bana kuchita tumiza mwa family manje tizankala bwanji
ikwetu achura sana okufuma mu August ila kuli 5 months no pay tulepo abantu akweko tulela pansi bali tampya manda chakule ko twinga so the ZCCM a big company yako bati ingalolesha pali fitule chulo price akho.
These former employees have since appealed to the head of state President Hakainde Hichilema to see how best he can compel management at ZCCM-IH to pay them their dues and also find a way in which they can be transferred to other companies.
So please, we are appealing to the government of this country because this is the government institution and they need to help us in one way or the other because we are Zambians and we cannot be treated like this because we are in the hands of the government and this institution is being run by the government and we need to be given the money and we need to also be put into consideration so as we are waiting for the liquidation.
Yes. And ZCCM-IH Corporate Affairs Manager Luis Ambata, when contacted for a comment, told this reporter that a company puts the welfare of its employees first and that it is working at resolving the matter in the soonest possible time.
So ZCCM received a letter from the Mushe board with a request looking to consider the plight of the employees. As you know, Mushe Milling has been facing a lot of liquidity and operational challenges, and they've been unable to get enough cash to take care of their operations. So it's obviously as a company, as a parent company, as a majority shareholder, employee welfare is of paramount. We are looking into that issue. Be communicated soon.
For now, these employees have vowed to keep sleeping at the gate of ZCCM-IH offices until their dues are paid.
And we are demonstrating this peacefully.
Prudence Chota, reporting for Camnet TV News.
President Hakainde Hichilema has assented to the National Pension Scheme Bill, which provides for an option to claim for one-off age benefits by a member of the prescribed minimum pensionable age of the 36 under the existing fund. President Hichilema says assenting to the National Pension Scheme Bill is a fulfillment of the United Party for National Development's UPND 2021 elections campaign commitment to undertake cross-cutting NAPSA reforms to enhance value for money for contributors under the existing fund. The bill has also revised the penalty rate for 20% to 10% for delayed payment of contributions and provides for a waiver of penalties arising from delayed payment of contributions. This is according to a statement issued to Camnet TV by presidential spokesperson Anthony Walia. A 35-year-old man of Chipata compound has been sentenced to 3 years imprisonment by the Lusaka High Court over the death of his wife, whom he fought with a night before her death and later dumped her body. In this case, Jonas Mwaba was first charged with the offense of murder. However, the charge was later reduced to manslaughter. Mwaba is said to have caused the death of his wife, Given Walia, on the 26th of June 2021. According to court records, the convict and his late wife decided to leave their home for leisure and headed different ways in Zingalume, and upon returning, the convict found his wife standing with a man at the gate. The duo started fighting, with Miss Walia picking a brick in an attempt to hit the husband. In the process, the convict used the same brick to hit the deceased on the chest. The fighting continued for 3 hours, with the two using cooking sticks and fists. After the couple later slept, Miss Walia was discovered dead around 03 hours in the matrimonial house. Mwaba picked the body and dumped it at Ballaston Farm area before fleeing his house. The Lusaka High Court Judge Corinne Zimba has found former Patriotic Front Kasama Central Constituency Member of Parliament Kelvin Sampa guilty of having misappropriated 1.4 million kwacha belonging to Salehe Mbaruku Sengulo and Mbaruku Trading Limited. This was in a case in which the former lawmaker was sued by a company trading in Kanyagi Spirit, an alcoholic beverage, for obtaining 1.4 million kwacha monies from the plaintiffs, which was meant to be paid to the Zambia Revenue Authority as default payment, but he paid himself as commission. The court has established that the plaintiff has proved their claims against the defendant. More in this report.
Kelvin Sampa, a former Patriotic Front Kasama constituency area member of parliament, will have to clear monies that he was sued for before the Lusaka High Court by a company which supplies Konyeki Spirit, an alcohol beverage, following the court's establishment that Mr. Sampa misappropriated 1.4 million kwacha belonging to Saleh Baruku Sengura and Baruku Trading Limited. Earlier this year, Mr. Sampa was sued by Baruku Sengura and Baruku Trading Limited on account that he obtained 1.4 million monies from the plaintiff, which was meant to be paid to the Zambia Revenue Authority as default payment, but he paid himself as commission. The lawsuit was commenced by Baruku Trading Limited and its managing director, Salehi Baruku Sengura, and the company was seeking that the court orders Mr. Sampa to pay damages for the inconvenience, mental anguish and stress caused to them as they had to source the amount payable to ZRA when the said money was misappropriated by Mr. Sampa. In his defense, Mr. Sampa had states that he confirmed that the tribe had consignment of Mr. Sengulo were impounded by the Zambia Revenue Authority and that the same were impounded because the plaintiffs were unlawfully invaded to pay tax on the consignment being imported into Zambia from Tanzania, and the same were to be forfeited to the state. Mr. Sampa, in his further defense, had also told the court that he managed to negotiate with the Zambia Revenue Authority to agree to assess the alcohol consignment that had been seized, and ZRA agreed to allow the plaintiff pay over 1.2 million kwachas duty, but there was an agreement between the plaintiff and him to pay the sum of 1.4 million kwacha to ZRA and that he retains the difference as his fee. The court has, however, found him guilty of having misappropriated 1.4 million kwacha belonging to the plaintiff. Lusaka High Court Judge Corinne Zimba made the verdict after establishing that the plaintiffs had proved their claims against Mr. Sampa. The court has, however, dismissed the reliefs where they were seeking that the court awards them mental anguish, loss of business, had it lacked merit and they failed to prove so. Miriam Kaimba, reporting for Camnet TV News.
Government says that the transaction agreement that has been made between ZCCM Investment Holdings and First Quantum Minerals regarding Kansanshi Mining PLC has been made in the best interest of the Zambian people. Minister of Finance and National Planning, Dr. Stumbeko Msokotwane, says Kansanshi Mine will now be paying royalty to the Zambian government at 3.1% of the gross value of all metal sales, as opposed to a dividend model which saw the country lose huge sums of money. Dr. Msokotwane says the future projections indicate that just over a 9-year period, royalty receipts will amount to $625 million United States dollars, which is significantly higher than the amounts received in the last 14 years. Meanwhile, ZCCM Investment Holdings Board Chair Dolika Banda says the 3.1% royalty is the highest so far compared to other countries that use the royalty model.
For over 3 years, the Zambian government under the Patriotic Front administration were negotiating how best they can gain more revenue from Kansanshi Mine PLC, a deal which has been sealed by the United Party for National Development UPND administration, where it has been agreed that instead of Kansanshi paying its dividends after profit to ZCCM-IH, it will instead be paying royalties at 3.1% of the gross value of all metal sales.
Those controlling 80% decide that we are not going to declare dividends, even though we own 20%, there's nothing that we can do. Nothing. But under the royalty model that we are going to, whether the company declares dividends or does not declare dividends, whether it makes losses or not, as long as they produce copper or minerals from the ground, as long as they sell those, our 3.1% becomes payable to the ZCCM.
The finance minister, in further defending this transaction, says the future projections indicate that just over a 9-year period, royalty receipt will amount to $625 million United States dollars, which is significantly higher than the amount received in the last 14 years.
The dividend model, $337 million. 2009 to 2021. Under the royalty model, which we are going to now, how much would we have received? $671 million, more than double what we got under the dividend model. This is what persuaded us. This is what persuaded us that, look, the matter here is very simple. The matter is very simple. You have one model that gives you less money. You have another model that gives you more money. Which one do you go for?
Meanwhile, ZCCM-IH Board Chair Dolika Banda says the 3.1% royalty government and First Quantum Minerals have arrived at is the highest so far compared to other countries that use the royalty model.
The pricing on royalty models range so far what we have seen between 1% and 3.5%. So at 3.1%, Zambia is on the highest, along the highest end. Also, we used a number of advisors, financial advisors and lawyers to get to this value. International advisors as well as local financial advisors.
Mines Minister Paul Kabuswe also added his voice in defending government's decision.
You can only expect different results when you do some things different. I think that we've been stuck for quite a long time, and this government has the courage to make decisions that will transform the sector. This will not be a flip-flop kind of approach in terms of administering the sectors that will bring value to the economy so that all our lives are transformed.
As to whether this model will be extended to other mining sector remains not known, but the government says if need be, it will consider the model. Prudence Chota, reporting for Camnet TV News.
The Ministry of Education has admitted the huge gap in the delivering of inclusive and quality education for children with cross-cutting disabilities in the country. Ministry of Education Zambia Permanent Secretary Technical Services Joe Kamoko has assured the nation that the ministry is keen to addressing the challenges affecting persons with cross-cutting disabilities. He was speaking during the 5th National Symposium on Inclusive Education, marked under Not All Children with Disabilities Are Visible in the Education System in Lusaka Monday. Patrick Soko reports.
The Disability Movement, 6th December 2022, converged for the 5th National Symposium on Inclusive Education to identify challenges and solutions to problems affecting access to quality education for persons with disabilities. The symposium is being marked under the theme, "Not all children with disabilities are visible in the education system." During the meeting, the Disability Rights Watch noted that most teachers are not qualified to handle children with disabilities.
Many children with disabilities who are currently not in school and have little opportunities to enter the education system in its current form. At the same time, we have children with disabilities within the education system who are not getting the quality of education they require, and learning materials including ICT and basic assistive devices. The school infrastructure is inaccessible, guest of honor, and the majority of teachers are not fully qualified to handle children with disabilities in an inclusive system.
A Norwegian Association of Disabled Senior Advisor, Alec Nyelenda, says there is a need for exchange of ideas and views on how to address issues affecting persons with disabilities in the education sector.
For us, we would like to encourage every teacher, lecturer, every person involved in the inclusive education space to realize that we can include all learners. The government, as government, there is a process of legislative and policy change, and we appreciate that. That is the atmosphere that we need to actualize a lot of things.
Meanwhile, the Minister of Education has admitted that there is a huge gap in the delivery of inclusive and quality education for children with cross-cutting disabilities in the country. Minister of Education Permanent Secretary, Technical Service, Joe Kamoko, assured that the ministry is keen to address the challenges affecting persons with cross-cutting disabilities in the education sector.
Children with disabilities within the school system, as you emphasized, do not have adequate and appropriate learning materials, including ICT-based learning materials. Many of the schools in Zambia are not yet physically accessible to different children. As we know, most of them are not SEN compliant or SEN friendly. We further recognize that the majority of our schools do not have adequately trained teachers who can handle inclusive classrooms where children with disabilities need to be placed. This defeats the whole quest for quality inclusive education, Mr. Chairperson.
He says the government has an open door policy which the disability movement can utilize, as he assured that the ministry is keen to address the problems affecting persons with disabilities.
I also want to thank you for working with the ministry to improve the education of your own children. I thank you all for attending this symposium. I am hoping that what you will resolve when it's presented, we will not be fighting, we'll be engaging, we'll hold dialogue, we'll create reason to meet again. Because governments are only but social vehicles for the wishes and aspirations of the people.
Patrick Soko, Camnet News.
Circular Economy Environmental Sustainability Project Coordinator Radia Mtonga has underscored the need to heighten the discourse around the circular economy in the country. The circular economy establishes a more sustainable production and consumption model in which raw materials are kept longer in production cycles and can be used repeatedly, therefore generating much less waste. The Global South is in focus at this year's World Circular Economy Forum, which takes place in Africa on from the 6th to the 8th of December 2022. The conference is titled From Africa to the World, being held in Kigali, Rwanda, and online with studios held in cities across Africa and the world. And speaking with Camnet on the sidelines of the Lusaka studio event, Ms. Mtonga says promoting the circular economy is vital towards promoting climate resilience and creating jobs through waste management.
Practitioners who share solutions towards circularity.
right? And this is the first time that it's being hosted in Africa and the first time that we're having a Zambian studio. So circularity is important in that just like everything else, raw materials are running out very, very quickly, just in Zambia as well as across Africa. We need to find ways and solutions of making goods, making things that make sure that our environment is being protected, making things that can stay in circulation as long as possible without being thrown away. It's really important because just like the rest of the world, we are facing climate change issues. We're degrading our environment. It's not just a European problem. It's not just an outside of Africa problem. It's also a problem that affects Zambia. So this is why circularity is important and relevant for Zambia.
Parliamentary Committee Chairperson on Legal Affairs, Human Rights and Governance, Clement Andeleki, has charged that the Patriotic Front has no capacity to move a motion to impeach President Hakainde Hichilema. Mr. Andeleki says President Hichilema, in the 16 months he has been in office, has demonstrated that he is the son of the soil, a selfless leader who has a vision for this country. Mr. Andeleki says the Patriotic Front have no numbers to an impeachment motion, a move is described as cheap politics. He says the impeachment motion is bound to fail because the opposition has no numbers in Parliament, stressing that there is nothing wrong that the President has done to warrant the motion. Mr. Andeleki says he does not think the President committed any offence for which Parliament can be called to investigate, looking at the progress he has made to develop the country.
PF, like any other political party, has a right to move any form of motion, but the issue is whether or not they can succeed. You know very well that PF is a small minority political party at the moment. They can't move any motion, but to impeach the president, first and foremost, for what? This president has delivered beyond expectation. Within the short period that he's been in office, he has shown that he is a son of the soil, a selfless leader, a leader who knows where he wants to take the country. Of course, the PF cannot be happy with that. They are no opposition political party. And as a government, the President has made it very clear that he is going to respect the rule of law, particularly freedom of expression, even the privileges enjoyed by members of Parliament. And members of Parliament from the PF are merely exercising their right as members. And you know that that is just a joke, because they do not have the numbers to move an impeachment motion. Because to impeach the President, they require to have the numbers in the House, 2/3 majority. Do they have the numbers? Of course, that is cheap politics, which can never move or distract the good job the President is doing. Currently, the President is busy. They are merely trying to distract him, to try and raise issues which the President should not even think it is anything to do.
You're watching Camnet Television News. We'll take our first break. We'll be back with more news after this break.
You know, I can take her a bit.
Yes, my dear.
I was thinking of getting you a Bugatti on your birthday.
Really?
I'm quiet. My name is Yana.
Don't worry, man. That's why there is insurance.
Insurance?
You heard me.
Not just any kind of insurance, but Savenda General Insurance, a company that offers superior customer service, highly professional and dedicated staff. We are not just any insurance company, but an insurance company that actually pays our claims. We cover, among others, fire, marine, aviation, engineering, agriculture, motor vehicle, and miscellaneous insurance. So, live life to the full, knowing that Savenda General Insurance has got you covered. Savenda General Insurance. Insurance excellence.
Your skin is the biggest muscle in your body. That's why we make sure that Oracle is #1 when it comes to taking care of your precious skin. Oracle Pure Petroleum Jelly and Glycerin soothes, moisturizes and keeps your skin perfect. Oracle Pure Petroleum products for that perfect skin.
A falcon
known for flying high speeds, unmistakably grace, and flying incredible long distances. Falcon Express is equal to the task with your deliveries. Friendly and reliable, a company that cares for you, local and international coverage, company that empowers its customers on time, every time, all the time. Nationwide delivery.
Send your parcel through Falcon Express to Mongu, Kabwe, Ndola, Kapiri, Kitwe, Chingola, Chipata, Livingstone, Mazabuka, Kasama, Solwezi, Kalumbila, Chililabombwe, Luansha, Kalulushi. Get in touch with us on +260 971 130 766 and drop your parcels at Falcon Express. Falcon Express. Your parcels are safe with us. Good news, good news. The rains have started. You need to plan your future. Generational wealth is the way to go. Has grafted avocado plants fruiting within 2 to 3 years for sale at only 90 kwacha each, and ordinary avocados at only 45 kwacha each. Contact us on 0979 753010 or 0962 965 883. We are open from 8 hours to 17 hours, Monday to Friday, at Healing Word Ministries International in Ibex Hill, opposite Hilltop Hospital.
Continue with the news. Kanchivia constituency has procured ready to distribute rice seed and fertilizer to targeted cooperatives in 4 wards along the Bangweulu wetlands, namely Chinama, Munikashi, Lulingila and Mbati wards. Kanchivia Member of Parliament Sande Chanda says a total of 85 cooperatives will, under the project, participate under close supervision from the Department of Agriculture in the district. Mr. Chanda says this catalytic intervention is critical for sustainable development and socio-economic development growth for Kanchivia constituency. He says the project is phase 1 in the quest to uplift the economic well-being of Kanchivia in line with Zambia's economic transformation agenda anchored in the Vision 2030, 8th National Development Plan and the National Trade Policy, among others.
I wish to confirm that Kanchivia constituency has received the 255 bags of rice seed, and we also have 344 bags of D-compound. This is a project of under the 2022 Constituency Development Fund, in which we are aiming to promote cultivation and production of rice in Kanchivia constituency along the Bangweulu wetlands. We believe that this is going to result in increased rice production, and come 2023 we'll move into value addition processing the harvested rice, and from there then we can now move to packaging and looking at market linkages, and we believe that this is going to result in job creation for our people, increased revenue at household and community level. We are looking at a total hectareage of 85 hectares under this particular project under 2022, and we believe that this project is scalable, and want to use this opportunity to call on different stakeholders in the agricultural sector to come on board and stand with us in Kanchivia.
The Zambia Development Agency, ZDA-led mission to Angola has reaped export deals worth $41.5 million United States dollars, including a deal to export 500 Brahman bulls. ZDA Acting Manager Communications and Public Relations Russell Hamobi says the agency, in partnership with the Zambian Embassy in Angola, facilitated the participation of 6 Zambian enterprises at the first Agriculture, Fisheries and Livestock Show in Benguela, Angola, from the 9th to the 13th of November 2022. Mr. Hamobi says the export deals were recorded in grains such as maize seed, soybeans and animal feed, among others. He says ZDA, working with the embassy, is following up on both the deals and leads that were generated to ensure that they transform into actual transactions. And commenting on the trade leads and deals recorded, ZDA Acting Director General Albert Halwampa says he is elated to note that the demand for Zambian products in the region is increasing and that they are competing favorably. Minister of Small and Medium Enterprise Development, Engineer Mubanga, says Zambia has renewed her focus on the growth and development of startups. Speaking during one of the round-table meetings at the 2022 African Startup Conference in Algiers, Algeria, Engineer Mubanga says this is evidenced by the numerous steps that have been put in place to enhance startups, such as supporting innovations in the digital world through skills development, incubation, and mentoring programs. The minister also took time to explain that the Zambian government is determined to ensure it supports the growth of startups and MSMEs by developing necessary legislations and policies. He informed the meeting that government is currently working on the startup bill and the MSMEs policy, which, once enacted into law, will ensure Zambia has functioning startup ecosystems, which will stimulate local participation, especially among young innovators. The policy, on the other hand, will speak to the innovation and technological capacity of MSMEs, market opportunities, business development services, among other things. The 2022 African Startup Conference for Ministers meeting is running from the 5th to the 7th of December 2022, is a high-level meeting for ministers in charge of startups and SMEs across the continent, whose aim is to develop and adopt a roadmap for the startups and SMEs. The roadmap is proposing, among other things, designation of national focal points and creation of a permanent secretariat, creation of an African Ministers' Council in charge of startups within the African Union, and establishment of an annual action plan. The conference has attracted participation from more than 22 African countries, representatives from the African Union as well as the United Nations. You're watching Camnet Television News. We'll take our second and final break. We'll be back with international and sports news.
From time immemorial, we have had different types of lighting options, from those that can burn down our investments in minutes to those that dig holes in our pockets due to constant replacement and huge consumption of our ZESCO units. Savenda Electric introduces the new and advanced electric bulb with cutting-edge technology of LED that has low power consumption, gives out bright white light, and lasts up to 25,000 hours. Savenda Electric manufactures all types of LED light, like plastic LED fluorescent tubes, down lights, ceiling lights, outdoor fittings, and solar street lights made to customer specifications. Let's live on the bright side of life by choosing the wide range of Savenda electric lighting solutions that are available in all leading stores and supermarkets countrywide. For orders, call 0962-642-490 or email jnbunda@savenda.com or pchabula@savenda.com.
Good news, good news. The rains have started. You need to plan your future. Generation Wealth is the way to go. Has grafted avocado plants fruiting within 2 to 3 years for sale at only 90 kwacha each, and ordinary avocados at only 45 kwacha each. Contact us on 0979 753010 or 0962 965 883. We are open from 8 hours to 17 hours, Monday to Friday, at Healing Word Ministries International in Ibex Hill, opposite Hilltop Hospital.
And now in international news, Ghana asked investors to exchange around $9 billion in domestic debt for new bonds on Monday to ease a crunch in payments as the government negotiates an IMF bailout during its worst economic crisis in decades. Finance Minister Kenneth Ofori-Atta said the debt exchange starting Monday would seek to exchange around 137 billion cedis or $9.7 billion in current debt for 4 new bonds maturing between 2027 and 2037. The West African state is in talks with for up to $3 billion United States dollars in credit from the International Monetary Fund, IMF, to help shore up its public finances. Inflation is running at more than 40%, and the national currency, the cedi, has lost 50% in value this year, helping to push up debt by $6 billion in 2022. As part of IMF negotiations, Ghana's government is seeking to make its debt more sustainable after facing warnings about the risks of default. For more in international news, here's a roundup.
Ghana launched a domestic debt exchange starting Monday to swap around 137 billion cedis or $9.7 billion in current debt for 4 new bonds. The finance minister assured the move aimed to restore macroeconomic stability. The local currency has lost 50% in value this year, helping to push up debt.
Today's announcement is a major policy step that the government is taking over the short period to restore macroeconomic stability, achieve debt sustainability, and get the economy fully back on track in order to create and protect jobs, provide and enhance incomes, foster strong and inclusive growth led by exports, and restore hope to the Ghanaian people.
Coupled with an upcoming IMF deal, the debt operation is expected to bring inflation back to single digits. The minister added the swap impact on investors holding government bonds would be minimized.
This is a key requirement to allow Ghana's economy to recover as fast as possible from this crisis. This is also a key requirement to secure an IMF support. The alternative will be a far worse economic crisis with protracted closure from international markets, including imported goods and services, and further domestic economic instability, both for the real economy and the financial sector.
Under the domestic debt exchange, local bonds will be exchanged for new ones set to mature between 2027 and 2037.
Carrying placards reading "Kishishe is not a butchery," members of social movements and residents of Goma held a vigil Monday to mourn victims of a massacre blamed on the M23 rebels. Kinshasa last week accused the armed group of killing hundreds of civilians in Kishishe, a village north of Goma. We're here because our compatriots have been killed by the M23 terrorists, and the President of the Republic has decreed 3 days of national mourning. And we as young Congolese have said to ourselves, let's get together to share with our friends and mourn our people. On Monday, the government spokesman put the death toll at 270. But the rebel leader denied reports of a massacre, saying only 8 people were killed by stray bullets. We say enough is enough. We're tired of it. We don't want war because we're here for peace. The Congolese are looking for peace. We're looking for peace with our neighbors, but they don't want to give us peace. We're here to call on the international community and our president that the youth of Congo say no to war. Enough is enough. We're not here for war. On Monday, the U.S. Secretary of State held a telephone conversation with Rwanda's President Paul Kagame, where he urged Kigali to end support for the M23 rebels. Rwanda denies backing the group. West African economies have been hit hard by the war in Ukraine, which has led growth to slow to 5.7% in 2022. The leaders of the West African Economic and Monetary Union said at a summit in Abidjan on Monday. Ivorian President Alassane Ouattara also decried the threat posed by militant groups to countries in the region, which he blamed for sluggish economic performance and political instability. At the security level, despite the efforts of our respective countries, the situation remains worrying and forces our states to increase investments in the field of defense and security to the detriment of certain crucial development projects. Insecurity is a major factor in the military coups that have shaken the region since 2020 in Mali, Burkina Faso, and for other reasons, Guinea. Monday's meeting came a day after the ECOWAS summit in Abuja.
We now have some sports news. And now in sports news, Morocco has progressed to the quarterfinals of the World Cup after beating Spain 3-0 on penalties. The match ended goalless in regulation time. Morocco awaits the winner between Portugal and Switzerland. Morocco is the only African country that has progressed to the round of 8. On that sporting note, we end the news. We take a look at story-making headlines once again. LUSAKA man to spend 3 years in jail for causing wife's death. IKELENGI Town Council cautioned for failing to deliver despite banking 21 million kwacha CDF funds. Government justifies ZCCM investment holdings and First Quantum Minerals agreement. In international news, Ghana to swap local debt in fight to regain economic stability. And in sports news, Morocco qualified to the round of 8 for the first time after beating Spain on penalties. Our Camnet verse of the day is coming from John 10, verse 14 to 15. Jesus said, "I'm the good shepherd. I know my sheep, and my sheep know me, just as the Father knows me, and I know the Father, and I lay down my life for the sheep." Thank you once again for watching Camnet Television Main News. My name is Jeffrey Ziambo. Good night.